how do we want to start this session then? So this is unheard of really for the Trading Up podcast and what I've done. So it's a bit of an experiment, guys. We're going to see how it goes, and hopefully, I can answer Rich's questions, and we'll go from there. I'll let you lead it from here.
Great. So, Cam, tell me a little bit about your recent trading, what's working and what isn't working.
Okay, so in the last probably month and a bit, maybe 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, sorry, last month. No, sorry, 2 months. Yeah, last 2 months. So I learned a new system, and I'm completely comfortable with the system. I understand it. I can see how it works. I've practiced it. I've back tested it, and I started implementing it on a live account, a very small live account, so like very, very small. And I realized the first week that it was literally going to be a sort of sample size of what I can actually achieve out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And the first week was I'm going to grew the account by 15%. And so I was stoked that, and some of the trades I'd taken were trades with very little drawdown and massive reward.
Okay.
And
you say you were stoked, is that right?
Yeah. I was like, because it was literally the first time in quite some time that I've had a successful week. It was an actual successful week where I hadn't had a successful day, but I had a week.
Time? So let's go back to that time. And I want you to remember the moment that you really were feeling stoked the most. Think about whether it was the day, the end of the week, looking at your statements. What was the moment where that feeling of stokedness, that just wonderful feeling, where was that? Can you identify it?
I think it was when I woke up, because so all the orders were triggering overnight, and I woke up the first day, and it was like, check the phone, and there was blue on the screen, which is plus trades, and there was more than one, and it was like, okay, that's a bit unusual. Usually I don't have these, usually I enter at the market as opposed to limit orders, and so these were all limit orders that were triggered, and they've all gone into profit, and I was like, okay, well that's pretty good. And then the next day, when it happened again, but they were significantly in profit, and there was maybe 3 or 4 trades perhaps in profit, and then checked the trades, and I was like, these are like laser sharp entries on, I think, 2 of them, and the other 2 were pretty good. That's at that point I was like, I think I've found the solution.
Excellent.
And then I think later on that week I actually I grew it to I think 25% even.
Okay, let's go back to that moment when you realized you're really onto something. And in fact, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, or even, I don't know, you can't lean back with a microphone, but just close your eyes and remember that delicious moment. You wake up, you look at the phone, you look at the blue trades. And I want you to notice and just really feel that moment, feel that realization that you're onto something. And go back and be in that time. And let's rewind the tape and just step into that moment in the present tense so we can feel it fully and completely. Feel what that is like to see those trades and the success and 2 laser entries. And just feel what that is like, that realization. I'm going to give you a moment of silence to do so. So Cam, what do you notice going on physiologically in your body right now as you appreciate what's going on in those trades? What do you notice physiologically?
My eyes are just like darting all over the place.
Eyes are darting all over the place, yes.
Yeah, my eyes are darting all over the place. I've just got these sort of, it feels like I've got, fireworks going off in my mind. Like just this, a smile on my face. That's what I can feel. Yeah.
Eyes darting, fireworks, smile on your face. So let's intensify that a little bit. Okay, so let's move forward in time with this experience. And I want you to notice the next trade or set of trades that isn't working so well.
Yeah, so it was the next week, or as soon as that happened, I had a couple of trades that I think I went in against the plan. And then the next week, I went in against the plan again, and I was trying things out. I felt like, okay, I'm now experimenting to see if what happened last week was actually what I would expect to happen going forward. Was that the best way, or was there another way to do it? And so I started experimenting, and I started increasing the lot size. And then there was one trade that I thought, okay, I think I've got it this time. Increase the lot size, and then move the stop again, move the stop again until it got out of control. And then that was when I basically drilled a lot of the account down. And I think I may have even had another similar trade where I didn't move the stop, but it was just another losing trade. And then I looked back at the end of that week to realize that I'd actually gone against the plan, and some of these trades were literally just Hail Mary trades, and trying to claw back the initial loss. And so, yeah, at that point, I mean, I still felt pretty confident because I was like, well, I know I did it in the first week. The second week was basically an experimental week, and I learned a lot. So then the week after that, that's when I decided that, okay, now I know that doesn't work. Let's go back and have a smaller target and go for the smaller target and stick to the plan. And that's what I did, and I started winning the trades again. And then I found that at the end of the week, I'd made a good profit, but then on the last day, I started changing things again.
Okay, so let's go to that point of changing things.
Yeah.
So here is Cam, decade of work, experience, trading, seeing patterns in the market, trying different things, and all of a sudden, we get in some consistency and getting some major returns. So what happened between following the plan and getting creative with your trades? What was that experience in that moment where you made the shift? Do you remember?
I'd have to rack my brain. I think it was because I'd had success. I felt that I had the ability now that I'd made myself a bit of ground. I had a chance to experiment again. That's what I felt like. I had a chance to experiment again, and it wasn't until a week after that I realized that the experimenting was the thing that was destroying the account.
Right.
And that's when I became a lot more patient and realized that maybe the trades weren't going to trigger every day. The other thing was being in the market too much. So the first week, the trades triggered like from sort of day one onwards, whereas the second and third weeks, they didn't. It took till later on in the week before the market started really getting active. So there's a lot of patience in there.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you for a minute, Cam, because there was a really exquisite moment there that you touched on, and I would like to go back to it with your permission.
Yeah.
And the moment was, it was like, oh my God, things are working. All my investment of time, my energy, the people who listen to me. So what happened, the typical equity curve of my clients before they come to me is grind it, make it, grind it, make it, grind it, make it. And then in a short period of time, kaboom, give it back. So what happened was, let me rephrase that. So paint me a picture of a successful Cam who has a system, who's patient. Sometimes trade patterns or setups just aren't there. But paint me a picture of how his mental state, his master trader's mindset, his highest self is absolutely okay with steady progress and success, and that he no longer needs to give it away, just go back into the struggle. So paint me that picture of that Cam that is comfortable with success. What's he like, and how did he change?
He sets time aside, appropriate time aside, to focus on doing the analysis that will set him up for the week, for the day, and then he monitors the trades on a 4-hour or thereabouts, maybe hourly basis, and is fairly relaxed, always puts a stop in, always honors the stop, doesn't risk too much, appropriate amount for the account, and knows exactly where what the exit strategy is, and is going to play that out regardless.
Okay, and as the profits accumulate into his account, how does he manage that success?
Yeah, so he sets goals, short-term goals, to try and meet and withdraw amounts at certain levels.
What would it be like for the successful Cam to go back to struggle? Is that something that draws him? Is he interested in going back to being a struggling trader, or is he comfortable with success?
Comfortable with success, comfortable with continually growing an account, comfortable with continually meeting the goals, matching the goals, exceeding the goals. Okay. And yeah.
Well, excellent. What does Cam lose with his success? And I know this sounds crazy to most people, but there are a number of things we give up with success. And those are voices in our head and parts of ourselves that keep pulling us back. So let's do a little discovery. What is Cam going to lose with success? And this is really a challenge, so it's not an easy question, and I understand that. So I'll help you along the way if we need to. What does Cam lose with consistent success? So I want you to think of a Cam who stays steady when trading. Envision his account slowly growing. There are times the market hands him drawdowns, but he fully understands that's part of the game, because consistent, if the market patterns allowed him consistent profits all the times, everybody would figure it out and everybody would be rich. But we understand that Cam has persistence, resilience, he has market skills, and he's building his account. And I want you to imagine that state of mind that doesn't go off the rails. The state of mind that means that Cam is okay as he is. He doesn't need trading to prove himself. He doesn't need a bank account to say he's okay. He doesn't need to do anything that proves that he's a good guy in the world with the environment or anything else. He's just okay as he is. I'm going to give you a minute to think about that Cam. And notice how it feels as you step inside of him to be him. And I'll give you a minute. How does that feel, Cam?
It feels like the pressure has been taken off.
The pressure has been taken off, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. And let's go back to the original time when you had made some successful trades. You looked at them. You went off the rails. You thought, I can do this. I'm going to experiment. And I want you to get that feeling of ego, that feeling of I'm Superman, that feeling that, God, I've got this made. I can do anything. Step back into that trade and just notice the hand going to the mouse, trading off of the system and experimenting. Notice what the physiology is like. Notice the shift as you go to that, as you need to make the next profit. As you lose money, then you need to make it back. I want you to feel that system. I want you to feel how that body feels. Notice what you're feeling emotionally. Notice the type of thoughts going through your head, and I want you to exaggerate it. On a scale of 1 to 10, and you're in that state and you're trying to make it back, or you just feel like you've got it made, how intense is it on a scale of 1 to 10?
It's about 7.
7.
Yeah.
What thought could you think to bring up that feeling to a 10?
It feels like if I was throwing a ball as hard as I could. That's sort of the feeling. Like, yeah.
Good. Throwing a ball is hard. So I want you to throw it harder. I want you to throw it faster. I want you to take your arm and just throw it as hard as you can, and hard as you can. And notice the effort. Notice how you're feeling as you throw it harder and harder and harder, and bring that experience up to a 10. And how does this experience, that intensity, feel to you right now? How positive, how negative is it?
It's angry. It's negative.
Angry.
It's very negative.
Let's talk to the angry part. May I have a conversation with your angry part?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Cam's angry part, I want you to know that I believe that you have positive intentions for him, that you're there to help him. And with that understanding, can I have a conversation with you as Cam's angry part?
Yes.
What do you do for Cam? What does that anger do? What do you do for Cam? That anger has a real positive part to it. What is that?
I keep him safe.
You keep him safe. Excellent. How do you do that?
By making sure he doesn't succeed.
I keep him safe by making sure he doesn't succeed. Excellent. What would happen if you didn't keep him safe and he succeeded? How is that unsafe for him?
Because then he'd have to do something with his life.
Yeah, he'd have to do something with his life, and that's a big unknown. So you keep him safe by keeping him in the struggle so he doesn't have to face the bigger fears. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, great. Well, I really appreciate you keeping him safe. That's really an important job. And if you knew a better way of keeping him safe, would you be willing to do that? Or talk about it at least?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me, keeping him safe now, his anger, his Cam's anger, how has that been working for him?
Well, he just keeps doing the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm. So you're keeping him safe. But in the long term, how does that work for him?
It's not going to get him anywhere.
Mm-hmm. So is it safe not to have Cam go anywhere?
No, I know that's risky.
That's really risky, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're there for his safety. And in the long term, you even realize that increases the risk. Is that right?
Yes.
So would you be willing to reduce that risk to keep him safe?
Yes. That makes sense.
Great. So I want to really give you an appreciation as Cam's anger. May I do so?
Yes.
You have been with Cam. In fact, let's ask this question. As Cam's anger, when did you notice that he really needed you to come to him?
don't know. I don't know.
Was he a teenager or younger than that? When did Cam needed that anger to protect himself?
I think it was probably when I was in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I really appreciate you coming to Cam and helping him out. And it's my guess that in some situations, anger can be really helpful in the world. So the question is, what does anger do for trading success? In that context, we've shifted context from the world to trading. How can you support Cam?
I can let him get on with it and get out of the way.
You can let him get on with it and get out of the way. Excellent. And how would that feel, given that you've been with him a long time, you've been supportive of him, you've protected him? How would it feel to get out of the way for you?
It'll be easy because it's hard work.
It's hard work, yeah. It'll feel like letting a burden down. What a weight off of your shoulders, anger. Once you take that weight off your shoulders, you let Cam get on with it. Are there things that you can do with a new role that might be helpful to him?
I don't think there is.
Okay, excellent. So you're okay going into retirement and letting that burden go?
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm done.
You're done.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to so thank you, Anger. I really appreciate. Is there anything you want to say to me or to Cam or to anybody listening before we go back to Cam?
I suppose, hopefully, you guys are going to see some changes because I'm not going to be here anymore.
Okay. I just want you to know that there may be situations where you could be helpful to Cam, maybe in a little different role, maybe in the world. So I just want you to hang on to know that. And I'm so glad you support Cam. You're willing to retire if that helps. But also that you can be creative and think of other ways that you could be helpful to him in new and more productive ways, okay?
Okay.
I really appreciate your anger, and I appreciate you supporting Cam. So I'm going to go back to talk to Cam now in a minute. Thank you. I'm going to take a deep breath, and anybody listening to this, I invite you to take a real slow, deep breath. And Cam, I invite you also. One more. So Cam, welcome back.
Well,
I invite you to kind of just shake yourself out a little bit. Your body back here. Mm-hmm.
Well,
did you hear my conversation with your anger?
Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard the conversation. I felt like I was hypnotized to a certain degree. Yeah. Would you have agreed?
Well, we can continue this conversation another time if you're interested, but could I talk a little bit to the audience about the experience you had with, may I have your permission to do that?
Go for it, definitely.
So what Cam did today during this session, and so beautifully and so wonderfully and so transparently,